During my time creating fashion videos, I've spent many an hour overly analysing different clothing brands. And over the past few years, I've seen some really big ones come in and completely dominate the scene, then just kind of fall off and become irrelevant. Of course, some of that is due to ever-changing trends, but there's a lot more specific and nuanced reasons as well, including controversies, some of which happened just a few weeks ago. Don't get me wrong though, these brands are still around and probably doing just fine. But today, I just want to dive a little bit deeper into what has happened and see if you agree. Starting off with the brand that inspired this entire video in the worst kind of way, J.Crew. If you're not chronically online like I am, you may have missed their latest controversy. Blackbird Spy Plane broke a story recently revealing J.Crew's use of AI-generated content in their Vans collaboration campaign. What gave it away were little details, like the boat's lifelines not extended to the bow's end, and the dock missing its fenders, which I wouldn't have noticed, to be honest. But then there's much more egregious things like the model's face completely changing from one shot to another. You can tell they've prompted it to be the same guy, but it just hasn't worked out. Also, how about this model's foot being completely the wrong way around? It's just creepy. While I and many others don't have any issue with AI-generated content in general, it's the way that it was used by J.Crew which has so many people upset. Firstly, they didn't disclose it, having everyone believe that these photos were real. They've since edited the post to have a line saying it's digital art, but that's only because they've been caught. Secondly, no matter how good AI is, the pieces in these generated photos are never going to be a true representation of the actual clothes. They will never truly capture the fit and texture of the real thing worn on a real human body. That becomes even more apparent when you see things like the striped pattern on the collar placket of this rugby changing from one shot to the next, and random logos are added to the chest of t-shirts that weren't there before. I potentially feel most sorry for Vans, who may not have even known their collaboration campaign was going to be completely AI generated by J.Crew. Or maybe they did know and they're partly to blame as well. Finally, the thing that myself and many others are most disappointed in is that fashion is a physically creative industry. It's all about touch, feel, and personal style. So it's really sad to see a giant in the industry replace models, locations, and real clothing with AI-generated alternatives. And to rub salt in the wound, hours after this controversy started to spread on social media, J.Crew posted this quote from stylist Camilla Nickerson saying, "Style is not always perfect, it's human." Is this supposed to be ironic, or are they just rubbing it in? Either way, it's all in very poor taste and a complete failure by J.Crew in my opinion. Next up, ALD, Ame Leon d'Or, or Ame Leon Boar, as I saw someone write the other day. I've personally found a lot of inspiration from ALD over the years, and honestly that is still the case. I do like a lot of their stuff. It's clean, it's clearly made to all be worn together, which is really convenient, and they have some of the best collaboration pieces, like this North Face fireman jacket, which is wild. But you can't deny that a lot of their main line is beginning to look a little bit samey, and I think a lot of people have started noticing the same thing. I don't think it helps that they use the exact same model and composition for all of their lookbooks. Yes, it looks absolutely beautiful, the layering and colours are always on point, and it's great inspiration, but I think that's where a lot of people finish with ALD these days. No one's scrambling to get their logo hats and hoodies anymore, which feel really lazy and uninspired now. Also, the pricing on their clothes is kind of bonkers. £325 for a jacket made in Indonesia, £350 for a wool jumper made in China. I thought people outsourced manufacturing to lower costs, but theirs seems to just keep going up and up. Overall, even though I think ALD did fall off a bit, it's nowhere near as bad as some of the other brands in this video, so let's get into those. Alright, the next one breaks my heart a bit. It's Represent Clothing. I say that because the whole reason I started my channel back in the day was to review their pieces, so I've always had a bit of a sweet spot for them. But I can't deny that over the years they've kind of fallen off. The thing I've noticed about Represent is that going all the way back to when they first appeared, their whole business plan was basically to copy other brands, especially Fear of God. From the longline era to the distressed stacked jeans to the athleisure trend, all of these were popularized by Fear of God and then cloned by Represent. And yeah, that isn't a shock, a lot of brands copy each other, especially Fear of God, who was so influential for such a long time, and we've seen other clones come and go as well. The thing is, Represent used to be quite affordable, in a kind of sweet spot where you could try the trend without spending too much money. But they've become crazy expensive over the years, to a point where their prices are actually inching up quite close to real Fear of God. And by the looks of it, they don't even produce their stuff in England anymore, which used to be a big selling point. So a lot of people are probably thinking, why not just pay for real Fear of God instead? Another issue with cloning Fear of God is that they're so tied to them. Because let's be real, Fear of God are another brand that have lost a lot of relevancy over the years. And since Represent basically copied them, it means they've lost relevancy as well. Going on their website today, it's like a time warp from 2014. They do have one or two nice pieces and some decent collabs, but most of it looks so outdated. And that brings me to the final point I have about Represent clothing. They haven't really done anything original. There's no one standout piece that you'd look at and say, oh, that's a Represent clothing item. And that unfortunately comes with the territory of basing your entire business model off another brand's popularity. So I touched upon Fear of God in my last point, and that sentiment carries over into this next one. The huge decline in relevancy of luxury streetwear brands in 2025. Some of this was manufactured by themselves. For example, in 2022, Balenciaga trying too hard to be edgy with their horrible advertising campaign involving children. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's pretty gross, but it's sad how reliant they've become on virality to remain relevant, rather than just the quality and fit of their clothing, which, by the way, doesn't even seem that good these days. And other luxury streetwear brands have just fallen off in general. I'm thinking the likes of Rude, Ami Paris, Amiri. I reckon a lot of this has to do with the fact that no one really cares about logos anymore. We're very much in the second era of social media, where you don't need to be wearing the most expensive, logo-ridden clothing to become noticed. And that's a big part of what made these brands so desirable in the first place. These days, if anything, it's kind of cringy to be seen wearing them. I also think a lot of people have just become sick of the prices they're putting out. Why pay £200 to £300 for a subpar t-shirt when you can just get a 2-pack of Whitesville t-shirts made in Japan for $100? It's not all bad, of course, they do still have nice pieces from time to time. And I would definitely wear their stuff if I liked it and it was the right price, except maybe Balenciaga. But overall, their heyday seems to have come to an end. Last up is going to be kind of a generic category, it's hype brands. I'm thinking Peak Supreme with people lining up for hours in New York to get a box logo hoodie, the crazed Travis Scott merch era, Vetements, Bape, Hellstar, or pretty much any brand where they would put a countdown on their Instagram page for their next drop. As much as I actually loved and yearned for those days, I think they're well and truly over. Firstly, a lot of us who were so invested in those clothes have just kind of grown out of them. Those loud, bold, silly designs just don't look great on us now. I mean, for sure, a lot of this has to do with personal perspective because as I get older, I'm not in that scene anymore. But I feel like much of the younger generation are steering away from it as well. These days, there's much more appreciation for quality and well-made things, which is great to see. Remember when Vlone were caught using Gildan blanks for their $180 t-shirts? That kind of image and portrayal really sticks with you and encourages you to seek out brands with more authenticity and integrity. Secondly, another big selling point of these hype brands was exclusivity, but none of those brands feel very exclusive anymore. They've all kind of melded into one hype beast entity. The resale market is also pretty much dead, which is great. And there's also so many fakes and copycats, which we've already talked about in today's video, which already contributes to these brands not feeling exclusive or unique anymore. But mostly, I feel like a lot of people just don't have the energy for these hype brands anymore. As soon as I hear something has limited stock, will only be available for 24 hours in this certain location, I'm out. It has the opposite effect on me, I'm just completely put off by it. Most of us like our clothing to be simple, approachable, and obtainable. So there's my view on a few brands or specific genres of clothing that have kind of fallen off over the past few years. As I said, keep in mind that this is all from the view of someone who is a bit chronically online, so take it with a pinch of salt. But I'd love to know your thoughts and whether you think anything else belongs in this video. But anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.